Welcome back to Finance with Golden. I am so glad you clicked on this one because today we are going all the way in. No surface level stuff, no generic advice. We are going deep into the minds, the habits, the lifestyles, the secrets, and the daily rituals of the people the world calls the top 1%. The ultra wealthy. The ones who seem to live on a completely different planet from the rest of us. And here's the question I want you to sit with before we even get started. What do they know that you don't? Because I promise you, it's not luck. It's not just being born into the right family. And it's definitely not magic. There is a code, a specific way of thinking, a specific way of moving through the world, a specific set of habits, beliefs, and daily decisions that separate that top 1% from everyone else. And today, I'm going to hand you that code, piece by piece for free, right here on this channel. Whether you are a student sitting in a dorm room wondering what your future looks like, whether you're a small business owner grinding every single day and feeling like you're spinning your wheels, whether you're in the middle class, working hard, paying bills, and asking yourself, is this it? Or whether you're starting from the very bottom, with nothing but hunger and a dream, this episode is for you. My name is Golden. And by the time this episode is over, you are going to see the world differently. You are going to see yourself differently. So settle in, grab something to drink, and let's get into it. Let's start at the foundation. Because before we talk about diet, investments, daily routines, none of that matters if the mind isn't right. And the single biggest difference between the top 1% and everyone else isn't money. It's the way they think about money. Most people, and I say this with love because I've been there, most people think about money as something you earn and then spend. You work, you get paid, you pay your bills, maybe save a little, and then you wait for the next paycheck. Money is reactive. It comes in, it goes out. You're managing scarcity. But the top 1%, they think about money as a tool, a resource that works for them, not something to chase, something to deploy. And that's a massive, earth-shattering mental shift. Think about Warren Buffett. This man has been wealthy beyond imagination for decades. But if you look at how he lives in Omaha, Nebraska, relatively modest home, drives himself around, eats at McDonald's, what you realize is that for him, money is not about status. Money is about leverage. Every dollar is a soldier he sends to work so he doesn't have to. That is the wealth mindset in its purest form. Now contrast that with someone, and maybe you've seen this. Someone who gets a raise or a bonus, and the first thing they do is upgrade their car or their apartment. The lifestyle expands immediately to match the income. That is what economists call lifestyle inflation. And it is one of the primary reasons the middle class stays the middle class. Every time income goes up, expenses follow. There is never any gap, and that gap is where wealth is born. The top 1% protect that gap like it is sacred. They resist the urge to immediately level up their lifestyle every time their income grows. Instead, they ask, how can I make this dollar create more dollars? That question alone, if you start asking it every single day, will change your financial life. Here's another mindset shift. The wealthy think in decades, not months. When Elon Musk was building Tesla, there were years where the company nearly went bankrupt. He poured his own money in multiple times. Most people would have quit. But he was playing a 20-year game, not a 2-year game. He was asking, where will electric vehicles be in 2030? When everyone else was laughing at him in 2008. What game are you playing? What's your 10-year vision? Because if you're only thinking about next month, you'll make decisions that only help next month. And next month will always come and go, leaving you back at square one. Start thinking in timelines that actually create wealth. Start asking, what am I building, not just what am I earning? Rule 2. The business mindset. They see opportunities everywhere. Now let's talk about how the top 1% think about business, because this is where it gets really exciting. Regular people see a problem, and they feel frustrated. The ultra-wealthy see a problem, and their eyes light up. Because every problem is a business opportunity. Every frustration that millions of people share is a billion-dollar idea waiting to be unlocked. Take Travis Kalanick. He was standing in Paris one cold winter night in 2008, unable to get a cab. Frustrated, right? A normal person grumbles and goes home. He asked, What if you could request a ride from your phone? That frustration became Uber, a company now valued at tens of billions of dollars. Sarah Blakely was getting dressed for a party and hated how her regular pantyhose looked under white pants. She cut the feet off a pair and invented Spanx. No fashion background, no business degree. Just someone paying attention to a problem that millions of women had every single day. She became a self-made billionaire. You see what I mean? The problems are everywhere. The opportunities are all around you. The question is whether you're training yourself to see them. And here's how the top 1% develop this muscle. They are obsessive observers of human behavior. They watch what people struggle with. They watch what people complain about. They read reviews, not just to check if a product is good, but to find the gaps. The complaints in the 1-star and 2-star reviews of any product are a map to what the next product should be. I want you to start doing this. Pick any industry you care about and go read the worst reviews of the most popular product or service in that space. I guarantee within 10 minutes you'll have 3 ideas for something better. That's the business mindset. That's how they think. And the wealthy don't just start businesses to make money. They start businesses to create value. The money is a byproduct of the value. Jeff Bezos's obsession was never money. It was customer obsession. He wanted to make buying things online so easy, so fast, so convenient, that customers would never need to go anywhere else. The wealth came because the value was real. Build something genuinely valuable, and the money follows. Rule 3. Discipline, the silent superpower. Okay, I need you to really hear this next section, because this is the one that separates the people who dream about success from the people who actually achieve it. One word: discipline. The top 1% are not more talented than you. They are not necessarily smarter than you, but they are more disciplined than you. And that's not an insult. That's just honest. And the beautiful thing about discipline is that it's not something you're born with. It's something you build. Discipline is choosing the long game over the short game, every single day. It's choosing to read for 30 minutes instead of scrolling. It's choosing to go to the gym when you're tired. It's choosing to work on your side project instead of watching another episode. It's choosing to save and invest instead of spending impulsively. Thousands of small choices, made consistently, that compound into a completely different life. Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, was famous for arriving at the gym at 4 a.m. Not because the NBA required it. Not because his teammates did it. Because he decided that being great required it. His teammates would show up in the morning already exhausted, just from hearing about what Kobe had done before they even woke up. That's the level of discipline that creates legends. Now, I'm not saying you need to wake up at 4 a.m. But what I am saying is, what is your version of 4 a.m.? What are you doing that most people are not willing to do? Because success always lives on the other side of the thing most people aren't willing to do. Here's a practical way to build discipline. Start with non-negotiables. These are 2 or 3 things you do every day, no matter what. Not 10 things. Just 2 or 3. Maybe it's reading for 20 minutes. Maybe it's reviewing your finances. Maybe it's working on your business idea for 1 hour. Whatever they are non-negotiable. You don't skip them. Not when you're tired. Not when life is busy. Not when you just don't feel like it. Because motivation comes and goes. You cannot build a life on motivation. But discipline is a machine. Once you build it, it runs even when you don't feel like running. The top 1% don't rely on motivation. They rely on systems. And discipline is the system. Section 4. Daily routines. How they structure their days. Let me paint you a picture. It's 5:30 a.m. Most of the world is asleep. The alarm goes off. And instead of hitting snooze, the ultra-wealthy person gets up. Not because it's fun, not because it's easy, but because they understand something that takes most people decades to figure out. The morning belongs to you before the world takes over. Study the morning routines of people like Tim Cook, CEO of Apple. He's up before 4 a.m., reading emails, going through user reviews, staying ahead of the day. Richard Branson, founder of Virgin Group, wakes at 5 a.m., exercises, has family time, then attacks the workday. Oprah Winfrey meditates and exercises before engaging with anything work-related. Now here's what's fascinating. The specifics vary, but the structure is almost always the same. There's a reason for that. The first hour or 2 of your day, before the emails flood in, and the phone starts ringing, and the demands start piling up, Those hours are your highest energy, clearest thinking hours. The top 1% protect them ferociously. What do most people do with their first hour? They grab their phone. They check social media. They scroll through other people's lives, and other people's opinions, and other people's news. And before they've even gotten out of bed, their mental bandwidth is already being consumed by everyone else's agenda. They start the day in reaction mode, and they stay in reaction mode all day. The ultra-wealthy start the day in creation mode. They move their bodies. They train their minds. They get clear on what they want to accomplish before the world tells them what to do. That shift, from reactive to proactive in the morning, is one of the most powerful things you can do for your life, starting tomorrow. Here's a morning framework I want to suggest. The first 60 minutes are yours. No phone. No social media. No news. Instead, move your body for at least 20 minutes. Walking, stretching, working out, whatever gets the blood flowing. Then spend 10 to 15 minutes on your mind. Journaling, meditating, reading, reviewing your goals. Then spend the remaining time doing your most important work. Not email, not admin. Your most important, highest value work. Try this for 30 days and tell me your life looks the same. It won't. And at the other end of the day, the wealthy are equally intentional about their evenings. They are not grinding until midnight, every night burning themselves out. They understand that recovery is part of performance. They protect their sleep like an athlete protects their training schedule. Most research says 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep is non-negotiable for peak cognitive function. The top 1% understand that their greatest asset is their mind, and that mind needs to be properly rested to perform. Rule 5. Habits, the architecture of success. If you want to understand why the wealthy keep getting wealthier, look at their habits. Not just their financial habits, all their habits. Because habits are the invisible architecture of your life. They are the daily behaviors that, over time, build or destroy everything. Let me give you the key habits I've identified across the lives of the ultra-wealthy. The ones that show up again and again, regardless of industry, country, or background. Habit 1. They are relentless readers. Warren Buffett reads 500 pages a day. Bill Gates reads 50 books a year. Mark Zuckerberg committed to reading a book every 2 weeks for a full year. Elon Musk, when asked how he learned to build rockets, literally said, "I read books." The average CEO reads 60 books a year. The average American reads fewer than 5. You want to close that gap? Read more. Nonfiction, biographies, business, history, psychology, philosophy, anything that expands your understanding of the world. 15 to 30 minutes of reading a day will, over a decade, make you one of the most knowledgeable people in any room you walk into. Habit 2. They review their finances regularly. Not once a year at tax time, regularly. Weekly, even. They know their numbers, their income, their expenses, their investments, their net worth trajectory. They have a relationship with their money. Most people avoid looking at their bank accounts because it's uncomfortable. The wealthy look at their numbers obsessively, not because they enjoy stress, but because you cannot manage what you don't measure. Start reviewing your finances every week, even 15 minutes on a Sunday evening. Know where every dollar is going. That awareness alone will change your spending behavior. Habit 3. They are physically active. This is not about vanity. This is about performance. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain, improves mood, reduces stress, sharpens focus, and boosts energy. The wealthy treat their bodies like high-performance machines because they understand that their physical condition directly affects their mental performance. You want to make better decisions? Exercise. You want more energy to work on your dreams? Exercise. You want to show up with confidence? Exercise. It's not optional for the top 1%, and it shouldn't be optional for you. Habit 4. They set and review goals obsessively. Not vague wishes. Specific, written-down goals with timelines and action plans. Research from Dominican University shows that you are 42% more likely to achieve your goals simply by writing them down. The wealthy don't just write them down, they review them regularly. They let their goals drive every decision they make. What are your goals? Not your dreams. Your goals. Because a dream without a deadline and an action plan is just a wish. Write them down. Today. Right now. After this video. Habit 5. They delay gratification consistently. This is perhaps the hardest one, and also the most powerful. The ability to resist something good today for something great tomorrow is the foundation of wealth building. Don't buy the luxury car today if it means you can't invest next month. Don't take the easy comfort today if it slows down the mission. The marshmallow is real, and the wealthy consistently choose to wait for 2 marshmallows. Section 6. Lifestyle. How they actually live. Here's where I need to bust a myth for you. Because Hollywood and social media have given us a picture of the ultra-wealthy that is actually misleading in a really important way. Yes, there are wealthy people who live in mega mansions, fly private jets, and wear watches that cost more than houses. That's real, and I'm not going to pretend it isn't. But if you look at the most wealthy people in the world, the ones who have built and sustained generational wealth, their lifestyles are often surprisingly understated. And that is not an accident. Warren Buffett has lived in the same house in Omaha, Nebraska since 1958. He paid $31,500 for it. One of the richest men in human history. Same house for over 65 years. He drives himself to McDonald's and orders breakfast for under $4. He famously said he doesn't want a yacht because it would just lead to having more things to worry about. Mark Zuckerberg is worth hundreds of billions of dollars and has famously worn the same gray t-shirt and jeans almost every day for years. He calls it a decision fatigue reducer. By eliminating trivial decisions about clothing, he conserves mental energy for decisions that actually matter. Former President Obama talked about doing the same thing. What does this tell you? The wealthy are not consumed by the performance of wealth. They're consumed by the building of wealth. The difference is enormous. There's a term in personal finance called stealth wealth, and it describes the lifestyle philosophy of many of the truly rich. They live well below their means. They drive modest cars. They live in normal neighborhoods. They don't announce their wealth, because they understand that conspicuous consumption is the enemy of compounding. Every dollar you spend performing wealth is a dollar that isn't working for you. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not saying you should live like a monk. I'm not saying you can never enjoy life or nice things. The goal isn't deprivation. The goal is intentionality. Spend on things that genuinely bring you joy and align with your values. But don't spend to impress people. Don't buy things to look rich. Build the thing first. Then enjoy it from a place of abundance, not insecurity. Section 7. Body language and presence. How they show up. Now here's a topic that doesn't get talked about enough in finance and business channels. And that is body language. Because here's the thing. The ultra-wealthy don't just think differently and act differently. They carry themselves differently. And that presence, that energy they walk into a room with, is not accidental. It's cultivated. When you watch powerful CEOs, top investors, or highly successful entrepreneurs, you notice something. They take up space, comfortably. They walk slowly and deliberately. They don't fidget. They make eye contact. They speak slowly and let their words land with weight. They smile genuinely rather than nervously. They don't rush to fill silence. They sit comfortably in it. This is what researchers call a high-power posture and presence. And the fascinating thing, proven by social psychologist Amy Cuddy's famous research, is that body language doesn't just signal confidence to other people. It actually changes your internal chemistry. Standing tall, opening up your posture, slowing your breathing. These things literally increase testosterone, confidence hormone, and decrease cortisol, stress hormone, in your body. You can make yourself feel more powerful by changing how you physically hold yourself. For everyday people learning to navigate professional and business environments, this is gold. Before your next job interview, your next sales call, your next pitch, stand tall, take some slow deep breaths, roll your shoulders back, and walk in like you belong there. Because you do. The wealthy also have an extraordinary skill. They make people feel heard. In conversation, they give you their full attention. They don't check their phones when you're talking. They ask follow-up questions. They lean in. This isn't just good manners. It's a strategic skill. People who feel heard, feel valued. And people who feel valued want to help you, work with you, invest in you, and be around you. Social capital is real, and it is built one conversation at a time. Rule 8. Diet and health, fueling performance. Let's talk about what the top 1% put into their bodies, because it's directly connected to their performance. And I'm going to keep this practical and real, not lecture-y. The ultra-wealthy, by and large, eat to perform, not to indulge, at least not regularly. They understand that the brain runs on fuel, and that the quality of the fuel determines the quality of the output. Brain fog, low energy, poor mood, difficulty focusing. These are not just uncomfortable. They are expensive, because they cost you your most valuable asset, your mental performance. Mark Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla famously committed to only eating meat from animals they raise and kill themselves, a philosophical choice about intentional consumption and connection to food. Richard Branson is practically vegan, prioritizing plant-based eating. Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter and Square, has been very public about intermittent fasting, often eating only one meal a day. Oprah has spoken extensively about her relationship with food and the importance of eating whole, nutritious foods. Now, again, I'm not saying copy any one of these exactly. What I am saying is this: pay attention to how food makes you feel. The wealthy are obsessively tuned into their bodies. They notice that certain foods make them sluggish. They notice that certain foods make them sharp. They experiment. They optimize. For most of us, the starting point is simple and unsexy. Eat more vegetables. Eat less processed food. Drink more water. Get enough sleep. That's it. That foundation alone will improve your energy, your focus, your mood, and your decision-making in ways that will ripple through every area of your life. And hydration. This one gets criminally underestimated. Your brain is about 75% water. Even mild dehydration reduces cognitive performance, focus, and mood. The wealthy drink water constantly throughout the day. Some of them start every morning with a large glass of water before anything else. Simple, free, and wildly effective. Rule 9. Attire and appearance, the power of first impressions. Let's talk about how the top 1% dress, and more importantly, why they dress the way they do. Because this isn't about vanity. This is about communication and strategy. Whether we like it or not, people make judgments about us in the first 7 seconds of meeting us. 7 seconds. Before we've said a word. Before they know anything about our intelligence, our character, or our capabilities. The way we present ourselves sends a message. And the successful understand this and dress with intention. Here's what's interesting. The top 1% don't dress to show off. They dress to signal. There's a difference. Showing off is about impressing people below you. Signaling is about communicating clearly with the people you're trying to reach. When a young entrepreneur puts on a well-fitted suit for a meeting with investors, they're signaling, "I take this seriously. I respect your time. I am professional." When a tech billionaire wears a clean, simple outfit to a product launch, they're signaling, "I'm focused on ideas, not image." The clothing is always doing communication work. Steve Jobs understood this with his black turtleneck and jeans. It wasn't laziness, it was brand. It said, "I am focused, unconventional, minimal, and I don't care about fashion conventions." That outfit became iconic because it was intentional. The lesson here: dress with intention. You don't need to spend a fortune. You need to dress in a way that communicates what you want people to think and feel about you. Invest in a few high-quality, well-fitted pieces, rather than a closet full of cheap, mediocre items. Clean clothes. Ironed clothes. Clothes that fit your body properly. Good shoes. People absolutely notice shoes. And here's a practical tip. Dress for the room you want to be in, not the room you're currently in. If you're working a regular job but dreaming of building a business, start showing up like a business owner. The mindset shift of dressing the part actually affects how you feel, how you carry yourself, and how others perceive and treat you. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and the wealthy figured this out a long time ago. Section 10. Environment. You are who you surround yourself with. There's a quote that I come back to again and again, and it goes like this: "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." That's Jim Rohn, one of the greatest personal development teachers who ever lived. And I want to take a minute to really let that land. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with right now. What are their habits? What do they talk about? What do they read? What are their financial situations? What are their dreams? What are their limitations? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Your environment is either pulling you up or pulling you down. There is rarely a neutral environment. And the ultra-wealthy, almost universally, are obsessive about curating their environment for success. This doesn't mean abandoning your family or cutting off your childhood friends. It means being deliberate about who gets access to your time and your mental energy. It means actively seeking relationships with people who are achieving what you want to achieve. It means joining communities, whether that's masterminds, professional organizations, networking groups, or even just online communities, where the standard of thinking and ambition is higher than your current circle. Here's a real example. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's longtime business partner and one of the greatest investors of all time, often spoke about how his relationship with Buffett fundamentally elevated his thinking. Two brilliant men, pushing each other, challenging each other, building together over decades. Neither of them would be who they became without that relationship. Environment matters. And it's not just about people, it's also about your physical environment. Where you work, what you see when you wake up, what messages and signals your environment is sending you every day. If you're working at a cluttered, disorganized desk, that chaos is entering your mind. The wealthy create workspaces that are clean, organized, and inspiring. They put things on their walls that remind them of their goals. They arrange their physical space to support focus and productivity. They understand that the external environment reflects and affects the internal environment. Audit your physical space today. Clean it up. Organize it. Create a workspace that signals to your brain this is where serious work gets done. It will change how you feel and perform. Section 10. Environment. You are who you surround yourself with. There's a quote that I come back to again and again, and it goes like this. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's Jim Rohn, one of the greatest personal development teachers who ever lived. And I want to take a minute to really let that land. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with right now. What are their habits? What do they talk about? What do they read? What are their financial situations? What are their dreams? What are their limitations? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Your environment is either pulling you up or pulling you down. There is rarely a neutral environment. And the ultra-wealthy, almost universally, are obsessive about curating their environment for success. This doesn't mean abandoning your family or cutting off your childhood friends. It means being deliberate about who gets access to your time and your mental energy. It means actively seeking relationships with people who are achieving what you want to achieve. It means joining communities, whether that's masterminds, professional organizations, networking groups, or even just online communities, where the standard of thinking and ambition is higher than your current circle. Here's a real example. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's longtime business partner and one of the greatest investors of all time, often spoke about how his relationship with Buffett fundamentally elevated his thinking. Two brilliant men, pushing each other, challenging each other, building together over decades. Neither of them would be who they became without that relationship. Environment matters. And it's not just about people, it's also about your physical environment. Where you work, what you see when you wake up, what messages and signals your environment is sending you every day. If you're working at a cluttered, disorganized desk, that chaos is entering your mind. The wealthy create workspaces that are clean, organized, and inspiring. They put things on their walls that remind them of their goals. They arrange their physical space to support focus and productivity. They understand that the external environment reflects and affects the internal environment. Audit your physical space today. Clean it up. Organize it. Create a workspace that signals to your brain this is where serious work gets done. It will change how you feel and perform. Rule 11. Social circles and networking. Relationships as investments. Let me build on what we just talked about, because the social circles of the top 1% deserve their own section. Because for them, relationships are not just friendships. They are investments. The wealthy treat networking not as a necessary evil but as one of the highest value activities they can engage in. And the reason is simple. Almost every major opportunity, a business deal, a partnership, an investment, a key hire, comes through a relationship. Not through a job posting, not through cold applications. Through relationships. But here's what separates how the wealthy network from how most people network. They give first. They approach relationships not with, what can I get, but with, what can I contribute? They bring value before they ask for value. They make introductions. They share knowledge. They offer help. They promote other people's work. And over time, this generosity creates an incredibly powerful network of people who trust them, respect them, and want to help them in return. This is the concept of reciprocity, and it is one of the most powerful forces in human social dynamics. You give genuinely, you give consistently, and eventually the universe brings it back to you multiplied. Now, for those of you who are students, or just starting out, or who feel like you don't have access to powerful networks, I want to say something important. The internet has democratized access to knowledge and to people in a way that has never existed before in human history. You can follow and learn from billionaires on social media. You can attend virtual events and conferences where you meet like-minded people. You can join online communities organized around your field of interest. You can reach out to people you admire with a thoughtful, genuine message, and sometimes they will respond. I want to give you a simple networking habit to start immediately. Every week, reach out to one person you admire or want to learn from. Not to ask for anything. Just to tell them something you appreciate about their work or share a useful piece of information. One message a week is 52 relationship seeds planted per year. Some of them will grow into things you cannot imagine right now. Rule 12. Learning and skills. The investment that never stops. Here's something the wealthy understand profoundly that most people miss. Learning is not something you do in school and then stop. Learning is a lifestyle. It is a practice. And it is the single highest return investment you can ever make, because it directly increases the value you can bring to the world, which is the direct driver of income. The top 1% are absolutely relentless about self-education. They read, as we discussed. But they also listen to podcasts, attend seminars, hire coaches and mentors, travel to broaden their perspectives, study history and psychology, and constantly seek to understand industries outside their own. Why outside their own? Because the biggest innovations almost always come from the intersection of different fields. Steve Jobs studied calligraphy as a dropout from Reed College, and that love of typography directly inspired the beautiful fonts that made the Macintosh revolutionary. It seemed completely unrelated at the time, but great ideas often come from unexpected connections between different domains of knowledge. What skills should you be developing? I want to give you a framework for this. There are 4 categories of skills that consistently show up in the lives of high achievers. First, communication skills. The ability to speak clearly, write persuasively, and tell compelling stories is one of the highest leverage skills on earth. Every raise, every investment, every sale, every relationship, communication skills are involved. Warren Buffett has said the best investment he ever made was a Dale Carnegie public speaking course he took as a young man. If you can learn to communicate better in writing, in speaking, in negotiation, you will make more money. Period. Second, financial literacy. Understanding how money works, compound interest, investing, taxes, cash flow, business finance, is non-negotiable for building wealth. Yet it is barely taught in schools. You need to self-educate on this. Read books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, The Psychology of Money, The Intelligent Investor. Watch channels like this one. Take this seriously, because financial ignorance is incredibly expensive. Third, sales and marketing. Every person, whether they realize it or not, is always selling something. Their ideas, their services, their vision, their value. The wealthy understand that the ability to persuade, to market, to create demand, these are commercial superpowers. Steve Jobs didn't just build great products. He was one of the greatest product marketers who ever lived. Learn how to sell. It will serve you in every area of life. Fourth, technical skills relevant to your field. Whether it's coding, finance modeling, design, data analysis, or something else entirely. Having deep technical expertise in a relevant area makes you irreplaceable. The wealthy never stop developing their core technical skills alongside their broader knowledge. Here's the learning habit I want to leave you with. Commit to learning something new every single day. Not for hours, just 20 to 30 minutes. Audiobooks during your commute. A podcast on your lunch break. 15 minutes of reading before bed. Over a year, that's 120 to 180 hours of focused learning. Over a decade, it's the equivalent of multiple advanced degrees, all self-directed, all in areas you choose, all compounding into a version of you that the world will pay serious money for.